Good morning again from Salt Lake City. Sitting here about to watch the sunrise again, watching from a little closer to the mountain, so it's later in the morning than some of my videos have been and the sun hasn't come up quite yet. But this morning I just want to ask people a question. Good morning, Masood. Good morning in India. I am going to start our morning off with a question today, and the sun will be rising. There's Mount Olympus. Yes, Mount Olympus, maybe not quite as legendary as the one in Greece, but it will be. So for right now, this one is mine. And the sun will be coming up any second. I am going to ask a question this morning, pose a question for anyone who's interested. And the question I would ask is, what would you do? What would you do differently if you knew that every single person you came in contact with was you? Now, whether or not you subscribe to that as any type of reality, I want you to just play with me, to just chew on this question for a minute. What would you do differently if every single individual you came in contact with actually was you? We're not talking like you should walk a mile in their shoes or, have empathy for them, which empathy is undoubtedly one of the most evolved characteristics in humanity. But what if they actually were you? What if they are you? Now, would you treat them any differently? Let's take a little bit of time just to think about this. Would you treat the beggar on the street who's asking for money for himself and his family, or herself and her family, would you treat them any differently if you knew that they were actually you, just in a different avatar, or having a different experience? What about the criminals? Would you treat them differently if you knew that they actually were genuinely you? Or the recovering drug addicts, if their addiction happened to look different than whatever your addiction has been in life, would you treat them differently if you knew that they were actually you? We're not just talking empathy here. We're talking an actual literal version of you. Because first of all, we have these things in our brains called mirror neurons. Now, mirror neurons are really magnificent. I'd like you to look these up yourself. Don't just believe me. Look up what mirror neurons are. They are these incredible, kind of dopey neurons in your brain that get really confused into thinking that anything that we do is happening to us. So that means that anytime we are bullies to somebody else, anytime we judge someone else, anytime we look down our nose at somebody else, those mirror neurons get confused, and they actually think that someone is bullying us. They actually think that someone is being mean to us, and they respond internally with the same kind of hormonal responses as though we are the ones being bullied, as though we are the ones being attacked. Now, when you're serving your neighbors, when you're serving the person on the street who needs your help, when you're serving your fellow man, your family, those same mirror neurons get confused also into thinking you're serving yourself. They get the exact same hormonal reactions as though you are serving yourself. So when you're in the service of others, these mirror neurons in your brains genuinely believe that you are in the service of yourself. Now, in addition to that, we're starting to realize that the human consciousness, the group consciousness is, ooh, it's getting pretty. I don't know if you can tell yet. The group consciousness is wired very similar to a neural network of a brain. Now, side note, and let's go aside from the neural networks for just a second. Let's just talk about time. Now, time, we've known for a long time and been able to prove for a long time that time is relative. Not only is time relative, but the whole idea of it being a linear experience, that's an illusion, and that's proven by physics. That is an illusion for perception, for experiences within the third dimension. So really, outside of the third dimension, everything that's ever happened is existing in the same time, in the same space. So every experience, every human being, we'll just, for sake of simplicity. We'll call it simplicity. We'll just talk about the humanity that's lived. Let's not even include all of the other trillions of consciousnesses there are, but just the 8 billion consciousnesses on the planet right now, plus all of the lives that have been lived previously. All of those have happened within one instance. They've all happened simultaneously. They're all happening right this second simultaneously. So, and we know that we as a humankind on this beautiful Mother Gaia, who's also conscious, are wired like a neural network. So in addition to having mirror neurons, what if we are mirror neurons? What if we are actually mirror neurons in a huge neural network where we are God experiencing, oh my God, that is so beautiful, where we are God experiencing the world in all of its infinite complexity from billions of experiences and perceptions simultaneously. Now, first of all, why would God do something like that? Why would a God want to split its perception? Well, a couple reasons. One of those reasons would be curiosity. It would be pretty awesome knowing everything, being a dog-eater and being able to do whatever, but at the same time it might get a little bit, yes we are, yes we are, I agree with you, but I'm still offering this in such a way, I'm hoping it'll resonate with people who are newer to the concept. But so we as mirror neurons, why would God do this? Why would God split her, the all Mother Father? Why would Mother Father God split their perception? Well, one of those reasons is curiosity. One of those reasons is because after a while you would really want to be able to have an opportunity to learn new things, and one of the only ways to be able to do that would be to offer the beings of this experience free will and a veil so that they would not realize the origin of who they are. But that would allow for these beings to really, really, really submerge themselves in life experiences that would allow a God, a goddess, the source of all creation, to actually continue learning from those experiences. And one of the primary things, well, the two things I'd say that are the most important to learn in those are discernment and wisdom, which are slightly different, but almost that you can't have one without the other, and both of them require love. On the fear-love spectrum, both discernment and wisdom are on the love side of the fear-love spectrum. And the reason why is because you can utilize judgment, you can utilize looking down your nose at someone, but you can't utilize actual wisdom. You can't take all the factors in an equation and judge someone. You can use discernment with them, and you might even find that what's necessary is a punishment in certain cases. I don't know how you feel about that. I'm not a big punisher myself. So pretty. But either way, however you feel that the ultimate discernment is used, the purposes of experiencing something from so many perceptions at one time would be to be able to know that every single human has made mistakes, to know that every single person is still worthy of love. We are all gods and goddesses. We are all parts of the ultimate all God, all goddess. We are all having experiences that not only is the source of all creation still learning from, which is a magnificent thing to be a part of, but so is everyone else in the universe. Now, these are things really, basically, 2018, almost all of these things can pretty much just be proven by physics. It's just a matter of looking up the right information, but I didn't really care so much about proving this point to people today as much as whether you subscribe to the belief or not, whether you think that everyone around you is you or not, whether I could prove that to you or not. I just want you to chew on it like it is a fact. I want you to look at the world like everyone you come in contact with is you, and on some level of the scale, whether you feel like you know more than them or less than them, you are them on some level, which means they're worthy of respect, they're worthy of kindness. For some people, this means that you would be a little bit nicer to the world, because you would realize that you're actually being mean to yourself when you're mean to other people. Good morning, Crystal. But for some people, this would actually mean that they might be a little bit nicer to themselves. Because sometimes people are a lot nicer to other humans than they are to themselves. And maybe if they realize that we are all one, we are all genuinely one. We are so deeply connected that everything that we do to one another, towards one another, with one another, every thought that we have, it genuinely ripples and affects every single human being around us. So, oh my goodness gracious. So how would you behave a little different? Would you behave a little bit different today? Would you be nicer to one another? Would you go and serve the homeless? Would you look a little bit differently at your politicians? Would you be the change that you want them to be? Maybe teach them, show them how to be better people. Would you be nicer to yourself? Would you do something a little bit nicer for yourself today? One way or another, I do know that if everyone in the world made this realization, or at least decided to look at the world this way, whether you believe it is fact or not, if every single person did it, we would be living what the great teachers have taught. Do unto others what you would have done unto yourself. Love one another as I have loved you. We are genuinely one, and the greatest teachers throughout history have actually tried to teach that. No matter how many times their stories and their beautiful, beautiful lessons have been altered over history, they've all essentially tried to teach us the same thing, that we are one, that we are walking mirror neurons in a big, huge, incredible neural network that is designed for us to all thrive together. We are a community-based, wired beings. We are a tribal being. Tribal beings, we want to be loved and love one another, and a lot of this comes from the fact that we are not only wired with mirror neurons, we are walking mirror neurons. Everyone you see, everyone you judge, you are judging a part of yourself. So let's try to do it from a little bit nicer perspective and try to be the change that you want to see in the world, because this beautiful, 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 gorgeous world is deserving of all of us figuring it out. Amen, Gianna. Unconditional love. I hope you guys all have just a wonderful, wonderful week.